Welcome to the Mindful Money Foundations course. My name is Liz McLarty and I'm the course creator, and I'm so thrilled to be taking you through this beautiful course that I've created that really presents to you a financial care, self-care framework. And from this framework, you'll find that you can choose to have a healthy relationship with money and to experience financial well-being. So welcome again, and what I'd like to talk you through is what you can expect to learn from this course, how it's structured, and how we're going to work through the materials together. So firstly, I'd like to share with you a little bit about why mindful money and where this whole concept has come from, and share a little bit about my own journey from my own personal experiences to how I developed this course. Then I'm going to break it down and show you the structure of the course as we work through the three key modules that make up this framework for financial well-being, which is to look at our mindset, our method, and our mindfulness, and combine all three of those to work together to create a more holistic approach to the way that we manage our money. And then at the end of the course, we'll bring all three of those elements together and to cultivate a self-care ritual and practices that you can integrate into your everyday life. So why mindful money? So here in Australia, there is a well-being index which is updated quite regularly. It's called the Australian Unity Wellbeing Index. And it's Professor Bob Cummins from the Deakin University who has done a lot of research in creating this index. And it was found quite recently that financial stress has similar effects on the body as physical torture. So to me, with my background in finance and accounting as a CPA, and having worked in corporate Australia and overseas for nearly 15 years, this really alarmed me, and I knew that money was a stressful topic and did create a significant amount of stress and anxiety in people's lives. But to have seen that those results of that research showing that the effects of that stress were so intense really triggered for me to want to examine how I could help people and women in a more practical way to reduce those stress and anxiety levels. So money does cause a lot of stress, something more than anything else in our lives. And we need to create a way that we can bring more peace, purpose, and pleasure to how we relate to our money. So this is something that I can personally relate to as I described my own career shortly there has been in the finance and accounting industry, and I'm now teaching accounting at university, which is one of my greatest joys. But before I moved into this position, I finished up my work in corporate, having being pregnant with my first child, and because I had started my job not realizing that I was pregnant, I did not have a job to go back to. So I had no security around my job when I went off on maternity leave. So I had no maternity pay, and being the sort of the breadwinner in my family, this did create quite a change, a shock change in our family life. And so leading up to the birth of my son, my husband and I were in a lot of financial pressure, more than we had ever experienced. And the anticipation of the change to our finances was really overwhelming. We had our own systems in place, and we would really probably reflected on having quite a good relationship with money, but big changes like this, you can never anticipate exactly how they're going to affect you. And this stress that we both experienced really did actually start to impact our emotional and physical well-being as well. And I was quite disappointed that these feelings were so overwhelming, and they overshadowed this, really precious time that we had in this beginning, exciting new phase of our life as becoming parents. And it was really from this experience that I decided that I was going to really put my accounting and my health and well-being and research skills all together to create a system for our family that would really bring the peace and harmony back, so that we could adapt to the twists and turns of life that I knew that we would experience again sometime. And that's when I created Mindful Money. So it's really a system that brings together our values, it balances our personalities, it brings calm to our, the monkey mind that gets distracted and gets us confused about what we really want in our life. And it allows us to be aware of all of those elements, which is really important because they all do serve a purpose. And then it allows you to create more fulfilling and meaningful experiences as a family, as a couple, and as an individual. So this system that I've created after it was really a promise that I would to myself create a solution to money stress that would really blossom into a sacred, sensible, and simple system, helping women and their families all around the world. So this is what I'm really excited to be sharing with you within this course. So it's a really holistic approach to money. We're not going to be just looking at the dollars and the money coming in and out, although that is an important step within the money mindfulness framework. But we're also going to have a look at mindset and mindfulness and how we can weave those things together to maintain and cultivate our compassionate self-awareness throughout our lives as we interact with money. But please remember, this is the Foundations course. This is my first course that I'm creating, and I'm going to create an advanced course that will follow on from this, but this is really just the foundations. So you may find that it's quite simply structured, and there are simple outcomes that I would like you to achieve. And some really great practices that you can start incorporating into your everyday life. So how it works is that from this research and work that I did when I decided that I was going to create my own system that was going to create a more mindful, peaceful approach to money, I came up with this money plus wellness triangle, which really identifies the 3 key elements which we're going to examine and you're going to learn about in this course. We're actually going to start by looking at money mindset, which is how we can cultivate a positive and empowered outlook to managing our money. Then we're going to look at the money method, so looking at the systems and strategies that you can use to manage the flow of money in your life. And this is where you'll feel more in control and aware of the dollars and cents that are flowing in and out. And that can create such an incredible sense of peacefulness and an ability to plan and understand what money is coming in and out within the next 12 months. Really transforms many of my clients' lives. And then the last element is money mindfulness. So it's how we can cultivate that compassionate self-awareness of how we're earning, how we're spending, how we're sharing our money, investing it. And of course, as you can see in this triangle, it's not that you do one, you tick it off, and then it's completed. This is actually a cyclical system framework where we continually look at these 3 crucial elements, and we're being aware of them, we're deepening our understanding of them, deepening our understanding of ourselves throughout our whole life. So it's a life system with these crucial elements to create financial well-being. So in the first module, I'll be taking you through mindset, and this is where we can examine what our current money beliefs are, looking and categorizing them to identify those which are empowering and those which are disempowering. It's really easy to absorb many mindsets, thoughts, emotions, beliefs, associations around money from many different sources. So obviously one of the significant ones, which we'll go through in this module, is our childhood and our parents, and obviously the culture in which we grew up in. So this is a really good opportunity to pause and examine what are some of the thoughts and beliefs that we have, and start to identify those which are empowering and being a positive part of our wellness towards money, and then looking at those that are disempowering and perhaps we want to let go of. So that's what we'll be looking at in module 1. In the second module, we're going to be looking at method, and here we will be using a Excel template which I have created. It's really simple and easy to use, and I'm going to walk you through and take you through it step by step. So if that starts to give you a little bit of a sense of anxiety about having to use Excel, please don't fear. I will walk you through it, and of course you can email and contact me at any stage if you have any questions. This is a really important step. Sometimes it's the one that most people either feel like they're going to get fear or really get bored of, but having done it and going through it, I'm sure that you will really experience such a great sense of peace and adventure. Most of my clients will start to get excited about this part of the money mindfulness framework, because it's the bit that you actually start to see how you can directly impact and directly make decisions, and what the consequence of those are, and how practical it can be, some of the opportunities you can create for yourself. So this is actually a really exciting part of the framework, which I'll love sharing with you. The last part of the course is module 3, which is all about mindfulness, and it's mindfulness specifically to do with money. So I know there are lots of courses and materials out there around mindfulness, and it's become quite a buzzword, but this is where we're going to look at specifically mindfulness around money and how we can increase our compassionate self-awareness. So it's that non-judgment awareness about how we're thinking, feeling, what we associate with money, all of those elements which can help us to be aware. And as we become aware of these relations and connections towards money, we can then start to influence them and change them, or sometimes they just beautifully heal on their own. So there's a lot of practical journaling exercises within this module, and I can't wait to take you through those. So once we've tied all of this together, what you will learn is how to incorporate those 3 crucial elements of financial well-being into your life. So mindset, method, and mindfulness all together. You'll use this simple and sacred system to manage the flow of money in your life with meaning and joy. You'll choose to have a positive and empowered approach to the way you relate to money, and you'll learn how to choose to be compassionately self-aware of how you earn, spend, save, share, and invest your money. So let's get started. This is the end of the welcome video. Now you can move on to the next as we work through the workbook that accompanies this course and the videos. So again, I'm so thrilled that you've joined me in this course, and I can't wait to get started. Now, if you're wondering what you need in order to successfully complete the Mindful Money Foundations course, well, that's what I'm going to share with you in this little video. What I've included here is a photograph of the materials which I use when I'm sharing these course materials with some of my other students and my face-to-face clients. These are the materials that I use. They don't have to be specifically these ones, but what you will need is access firstly to Microsoft Excel. In the method part of this course, there is a template that I'm sharing with you, which you will need to use and set up using Excel. Now, please don't freak out about that right now. I will be there to help you and guide you step by step. I know that it can either trigger fear or boredom in most people, but trust me, it will be a really exciting and enjoyable part of this course. But you will need to have access to our Microsoft Excel and access to your internet banking, so you can check up on perhaps some of the regular expenses that you have and you've had in the past to help us to plan for the next 12 months. I suggest having access to a printer and 2 pieces of A4 paper if possible, but that is not essential. Access to 6 to 8 small Ziploc bags, as you can see in this photo here, just underneath the pen and the little book. Some Ziploc bags, which I'll share with you why when we get to that method part. A notebook which you'll use for your money mindfulness journaling. We've got some exercises to work through there. A small crystal. It doesn't have to be a citrine crystal, but the vibration of the citrine crystal is all about attracting abundance and creating money harmony. You could easily substitute this with a shell, a stone, anything that you can start to use and hold, which will create a vibration for the intention around what you're wanting your money and your finances to be in your life. This purple pouch that's sitting behind is just a zipped pocket that you can put all of these things in together so they can be stored and fit nicely. And remember to bring a sense of adventure as well. Remember, this is a bit like a choose your own adventure book. We've got to choose our own mindset. We've got to choose a positive approach, an empowered approach to our relationship with money. And having that sense of adventure and curiosity allows us to approach all of this and learn all of this with a positive vibration. So they're the essential parts of what you'll need to complete the course, and you'll see all of those written out on page 5 of the course workbook as well. As you would have heard in the previous video, this course and the workbook that accompanies the course is structured around the 3 crucial elements for experiencing financial well-being, and those are mindset, method, and mindfulness. Now, the course is structured around those 3 elements, and we'll work through each one and go into some really practical activities for exploring how we can make those 3 elements a regular part of our self-care routine to wellness. But in addition to those 3 elements, I wanted to also introduce just 2 guiding principles which are important to incorporate and to be aware of as we continue to go through the course. And essentially, they're both around choice. So we need to be keeping in mind that our relationship with money and how we relate to our money, and if it is a positive relationship with money, is up to us. So the first principle that I discuss in page 7 of the workbook is about choosing to take back control. So many of us are experiencing overwhelm and anxiety around our finances and feel like we are out of control. Either we're spending money on things that we don't really value, we don't have anything to show for all the money that we have, or we really fear our financial futures. So what we've got to firstly do is to remind ourselves that we need to choose to take back control. And this course is obviously going to show you some ways in which you can do that and share with you some of those practical tips. But we firstly need to decide that that's what we're going to do. We're going to choose to take back control. And the second principle is that we are going to choose to experience money harmony. We're going to choose to experience a balanced financial life. Because a lot of the time, and probably perhaps most of what you've experienced in your life so far, is a financial life that may be out of balance. That's lots of highs and lows perhaps, or even when you are at a high, you still feel like, well, am I going to be able to maintain this? Is this amazing financial experience that I'm having right now, the fact that I've been able to afford something, does it then mean that I'm taking something away from the future? So what we're going to be able to do and learn in this course is how to choose to take back control, how to choose to experience money harmony, and incorporate those 3 really crucial elements all together to create a holistic approach to managing our money in a more mindful and peaceful way. So read through those. There's a couple of little strategies and points that you might like to read through on chapter 7 before moving on to our first section and first module around money mindset. Welcome to the first module within the Mindful Money Foundations course. In this first module, we're going to be looking at mindset. Now, mindset is all around how we think and feel about our money. And this is really important because it drives the actions that we take. So in this first module, we're going to look at understanding, discovering, starting to delve a little bit deeper into our internal landscape and to examine how we actually think, feel, maybe some of the associations we have with money. And we're going to do that because it's so important, because it leads or activates the actions that we take. So the positive affirmation or aim for this particular module, the mindset module, is to have a positive and empowered outlook towards managing the flow of money in your life. Now, each module has its own affirmation, and you may like to choose to write these out or have them somewhere visible, perhaps in your wallet. You might want to write them in the journal that you have that you'll be using alongside these course materials. So to remember and affirm to yourself, I have a positive and empowered outlook towards money and managing the flow of money in my life. And that is the essence of what we would like to create within this first module. So as you work through this workbook, you'll see some of the similar diagrams and elements that I've also contained within these slides. And what I'd like to really do is to walk you through the workbook that accompanies this course. In this first diagram within the mindset module, what we're looking at is starting to think about, as you can see within this purple head here, it's asking us to look and start to examine what are our money beliefs, what are our money thoughts, feelings, fears, dreams, associations and worries, because we're wanting to understand them so we can then start to choose to keep the healthy and helpful elements, the ones that empower us and make us feel uplifted, and then we're going to choose to untangle and let go of the unhealthy and unhealthy elements within our money mindset. Because your money mindset is what is going to drive the actions that we take. So it's really important that we start to look at our mindset first and understand why we think and we feel about money and the associations that we have with it. So that's what we're going to do within this module. And we've got to understand that a lot of what these beliefs and fears and associations we have around money, what does this reveal about our personal relationship with it? And what has been our personal history with money? So these are some really good journaling prompts already that you may like to start to examine within your journal, within your little journaling money mindfulness notepad that you've got alongside the course. Start to make notes and think about some of those elements. So what you're going to learn in this particular module around mindset is to be able to identify your current money beliefs. You're going to then choose which beliefs you want to keep and which ones you want to get rid of. We're going to then go through a process of being able to let go of those beliefs that are no longer serving us, and also bring life to the beliefs that we've chosen, to really activate and get those beliefs to become active and a driving force within our lives. It's also important within the mindset arena to cultivate being your own cheerleader. It's really important, particularly around money, as we're often self-sabotaging and really overly critical. We need to start being our own cheerleader and giving ourselves positive feedback. So I'm going to take you through some ways that you can do that. And the last piece within this module is some tips around maintaining a healthy money mindset. And there's a really great little PDF that you can use, you can print, you can have within all of your materials to also refer to. So this is what we're going to go through in this module. So let's get started in this first section of the first module around mindset, and we're going to really focus on understanding our money beliefs. So I'm going to just reaffirm again what we're aiming to obtain within this first module, and you might see these repeating a lot, but they're really important. And even significance of them is going to become even more clear as we go through these course materials. So again, I have a positive and empowered outlook towards managing the flow of money in my life. If you can repeat that with me, or at least read it as you're going, it will start to embed a new, really important, empowering belief for you. So in this section of the course, in this module, we're going to look at the first 3 parts. We're going to identify what your current money beliefs are, choose your money beliefs, and then let go of those that aren't serving you. So firstly, as we work through this workbook together, you'll see that there's a large table on page 9. And in this section, we're looking at identifying our current money beliefs. Now, we all need to acknowledge that we have our own personal and often secret meanings behind money. And it may not always be conscious in our minds either. So this may take some time, and we need to remember that this whole process and framework around money mindfulness is a lifelong endeavor, not to kind of create a weighted task that you have to carry for years and years, but hopefully it's something that you will find is a really incredible self-discovery, personal development tool that money is, and you will continue to enjoy examining with curiosity all of the different elements around money and the way that it intertwines into every aspect within your life. So hopefully that this will start to trigger that sense of adventure. So what we're going to look at here is starting to untangle what are some of our money beliefs. And this table is really a starting point for you to start to discovering what it is that you do believe around money. What do you associate with money? And I've given some starting points within your workbook. And what it's really trying to prompt you to do is for yourself to think of, what is it that I believe around money? Now, in terms of how long you'd like to spend on each of these sections within this course, it's really up to you. Some people like to power through, and maybe they have a holiday or they have some time off where they want to just pump through and do all of the course all in one go. Or it may be for others that you've only got a couple of hours or half an hour every week that you're going to put towards this. So please pace yourself as it suits you and your lifestyle. You don't want this to become a burden. So here it may be that you start thinking about some of your money beliefs and you jot down some ideas, and then you think about it for a week and it's on your mind and you take some more notes, and it's a really evolutionary process. So for example, if you're working through this and you read through some of the prompts that I've started with here, you should always be suspicious of wealthy people. So this is one that is quite common, and you may want to think about, is this something that you would like to keep, or is this something you would like to flick? And you may want to create some more notes around this as well, and it's just allowing you to start to untangle, dig a little bit deeper around the thoughts that you have and associations that you have with money. And keep coming back to why we're doing this. It's because if we understand this and ourselves at a deeper level, then we'll be able to understand and really see why these things are actually what is driving the actions that we're taking around our money. And we can start to see those beliefs that are actually leading to some really good, positive, healthy money decisions, and then others that are actually working against us. So that's why we're spending time understanding what our money beliefs are. So of course, work through the starting points that I have and add to it to help you to really dig deep and understand and examine yourself and the thoughts you have around money. You'll also see on the next page within the workbook a little bit of a sort of a mind map that might help you as well to sort of flesh out some of your thoughts and feelings around money. So again, you can use these as prompts which you can write about using your journal. So money means to me, you might continue that sentence. How has money figured in my relationships? When was I proud of myself with money? When was I embarrassed or ashamed of myself? My money fears are. So these are some really, really good prompts for journaling. or if you've got a special somebody who you can feel really comfortable talking about these with, it would also be a wonderful way to share that dialogue with them. So I hope that this helps you just to start off digging deeper into your own money mindset and associations. And from here, once you've started to examine them, then what we're going to do is actually you're going to choose your money beliefs. So once you feel like you've fleshed out and you're understanding, what your beliefs are, you can then start to choose the ones that you want to keep. So reflecting on that table on page 9, write out in your journal, just as I've got in that little photograph there, the money beliefs I choose are, and again, I've got that citrine crystal sitting there. And if you keep it with you while you're working through this workbook and with all of your things to do with your relationship with money and creating a more peaceful, calm approach to it, that crystal or shell or stone, whatever you've chosen, will start to be infused with that energy. So when you sit down to make money decisions, you'll be anchored into that energy and vibration. So it's not a woohoo thing, it's actually scientifically, there's evidence behind those energetic vibrations being imbued within that crystal. So this is the point in which you would pause within the course and grab your notepad and really allow yourself to consider which are the beliefs that you want to keep. And once it's really going to help you to reflect on them once a day, to build a stronger connection with these beliefs as well. And that's part of that activation process. So firstly, make sure you've taken the space and time to write down those which you would like to keep. Now, the third step within this mindset module is to look at how we can let go of some of those unhealthy and unhelpful beliefs which we may have identified in that first step. And this can be really challenging because some of these beliefs which we've held for such a long time, and they've been ingrained so deeply through, our relationship with our parents and our upbringing. Even our culture is such a strong influence on how we think and feel about money. And it's not always in the best interests of us and what we value. So once you've been able to look at how you can identify what are the beliefs that serve you and empower you, and identify those that don't. When we look at those that don't, just by identifying on the chart that you're going to flick them, as we've got here, you may find that that first step to have identified those that are no longer serving you is really, really important. But another really helpful and practical tip for sort of managing some of those really tough and persistent beliefs, I suggest you taking a piece of plain paper, so outside of your journal, and to actually write that you now lovingly release the belief that, and write out what the belief is. So from some of the examples that we had back on page 9 of our workbook, it may be that a belief that I can't manage my money, or that it's not very spiritual to be wealthy, or it may be that I will never have enough. So some of these beliefs which we know are really disempowering and really have a negative impact on our emotional and mental well-being towards money. We need to let go of those. So list out all of those which you want to let go of on this blank piece of paper separate to your journal, and then I would suggest either you can ceremoniously burn that paper with a candle, symbolizing that belief melting away and freeing up your headspace for creating a healthy relationship with money. If you're somewhere where there are fire restrictions and you can't be burning anything, you can also bury that piece of paper. Or you can break it up into tiny little pieces and add it to perhaps your worm farm. So just a symbolic way of really releasing in a physical way. So it's to take those beliefs out of your head onto paper, and then that physical act of letting them go can be really significant. And of course, you know, after having done that, you may still experience some of those old beliefs coming back into your mind. First subconsciously, and then even quite strongly, you know, jumping out and, you know, questioning your decisions, and again reaffirming in a negative way that you're, you know, not capable of managing your money. Perhaps you weren't very good at maths in grade 5. All of these things are actually irrelevant and not helpful to you with your now healthier outlook towards money. So what we've got to do when those beliefs come into our mind, one of the practical techniques which I often use, and I represent with this little picture that I've got here of the ocean and the flower, is I often use this visualization. And what I'll do is I'll represent that old belief as a flower. I'll think of it as the flower, and I visualize dropping that flower into the ocean. So that old belief that's no longer serving me, or that negative self-talk, I will visualize it and capture it within that flower, placing it into the ocean and then allowing it to float out. And I say to myself, I now let go of this belief and let light fill me. It's really important to have an anchoring practice like that, because these beliefs will continue, particularly if been there for a long time, which we've all experienced. So it's absolutely no, there's nothing wrong with what you've done or your state of mind. Even somebody who's very well practiced within mindfulness and has a great relationship with money, you'll still experience thoughts and associations which are not empowering and not healthy. You'll still experience them. So having these two practical ways of managing those is really important. So firstly, being able to release, you know, those beliefs out of your head, writing them on paper and physically letting them go. And then also when you feel them popping up, is to have them represented as a flower and letting it go within the ocean. So a lot of the time, some of these beliefs we want to let go of, they sometimes linger as a sort of inner mean dialogue, and I'm sure that you're all familiar with that. These inner voices can be a huge source of why we feel overwhelmed and stressed about money, and they often torment and judge you. So when you're aware of these voices, feelings, thoughts, just acknowledge them and choose to recognize that they're not helpful and that they do not reflect the true outlook that you have towards money. You can also, as another little helpful tip, you can visually represent them as a bubble, and you can just pop them. So sometimes you might have come across in other mindfulness techniques where you may have thoughts that go past, and some people may suggest you just watching them go past as clouds, but these you can actually pop and play with like a child playing with bubbles if you want. So don't engage with these unhelpful and unhealthy dialogues. They are not you. Just let them go. Okay, so that was the first section of this module around mindset. So what we've done is we've identified what your current money beliefs are, or I've given you the framework to do that. So obviously you're not going to do that within the 14 minutes that we've had within this video, but you're going to now set aside the time to do that, to go through using those tips and tools to identify what your money beliefs are. And then using your journal, you'll go through and choose which beliefs you want to keep and which ones you want to let go of. And we've got some practical exercises and approaches to how we can manage letting go of some of those tricky beliefs that really just want to hold on. Okay, so now we're going to move into the next section of this mindset module. Once you've gone through those and feel like you have successfully completed them. Now, having just gone through the first section of your mindset module, where we've looked at choosing firstly identifying what your money beliefs are, then going through the process of choosing which money beliefs you'd like to keep, letting go of those that don't serve you. Now, the next section for this module is to look at how we can bring life to those beliefs that we've chosen, how to become our own cheerleader, and then some really practical tools and approaches that we can take to maintaining money wellness mindset within our lives. So again, I'm affirming that aim of this first module around mindset. So I have a positive and empowered outlook towards managing the flow of money in my life. So again, this is the 3 steps that we're going to look at within this section of the module. We're going to bring life to our chosen money beliefs, be our own cheerleader, and maintain a healthy money mindset. So the first part of this section is some ways to bring life to your chosen money beliefs. Now, the easiest way to change your money mindset and bring life to your money beliefs that you've chosen is to make affirmations part of your daily money rituals. Now, you may use affirmations within your life already, or you may not have come across them before. Either way, what we're going to do is look at how you can, I guess, what the value of affirmations are, the science behind how they actually work, and then we'll work through how we can make our own affirmations and then include them and integrate them into our daily life. So at first, this may feel a little bit forced. So particularly for those who have not used affirmations as part of their self-care rituals before, they can feel a little bit first, and you may even feel like an imposter and not believe what you're telling yourself. Now, this is the really common reaction to affirmations. So please don't feel that you're not doing them correctly or that they are not helpful because you're having this emotional response. Those emotional responses are really natural and normal, and they're actually really helpful for this affirmation process. So what we need to do is focus on the feelings of the words as we say them to ourselves. So it's the way that they ease tension in your mind, they might empower you, they might boost your feelings of well-being, they might activate a sense of excitement within you. So it's those feelings that the words activate within you that's really important for when you're choosing the affirmations that you're going to include every day within your everyday financial life. So the crucial trick is to replace your limiting negative beliefs, some of which we've just worked through at the beginning of this module, with the positive empowering beliefs. So what I'd like you to do again is grabbing your money journal that you've got with you, which you should have alongside you with your workbook as we're working through these materials. I would like you to add your affirmations to your journal and to read them aloud as not as often as possible. You don't need to read them every hour or every minute. But if you can create a ritual that you may, perhaps it's when you wake in the morning or just as you're going to bed at night, you may keep that journal next to you and you just read maybe even 2 or 3 affirmations to yourself. The scientific research does support strongly the powerful impact that these affirmations can have if they are read to you before sleeping. Because they are much more likely to be able to slip into your unconscious mind and start to integrate and become part of your foundational beliefs that will, as we've heard, then drive your actions. So it's really important that you take note of and take the time to create affirmations that really align with you and your energy and your values. So if you're feeling a little bit self-conscious also about this process, which I know can be a common reaction, is to remember that these are wonderfully valuable beliefs to be sharing with your friends, your family, your partner, and also your children. So if you're speaking them aloud within your home, and at first you may feel self-conscious, and perhaps it's worth maybe talking through with your partner or your children why you're saying what you're saying. But do not underestimate the incredible impact that these beliefs and these affirmations will also have, the ripple effect that they will have then onto your partner and your children. I started doing this a couple of years ago and actually turned some of my affirmations into songs which I would sing around the house. And just recently I've just been noting as my children have now taken on those and they sing them as well. So what an incredible outcome to experience. So your beliefs and affirmations drive your behavior and they create healthy money habits. So that's why these are so important. So I've given you some examples of the ones that I use, but from my own experience, I know when I went through this process myself was that the beliefs, pardon me, the affirmations that I created for myself and the language that I chose, you know, really considering the impact, the emotional vibration and impact of the words that I used was really important. If I just repeated an affirmation that somebody else said and created, it didn't have that same positive impact, that feeling that I could experience within my body, my mind, and my emotions when I said them. So I generously give, I gratefully receive, I believe in myself and trust in my abilities to succeed in all that I do. Money is energy and I am balanced and in alignment into the energy of money. So read through these examples from the workbook that I've included for you and take your time to consider and think and create your own affirmations. You may only need one to start with, one that really allows you to lift up and feel more positive around talking about money, exploring it within your own mind and your own personal space within your journaling. So I really cannot underestimate and undervalue the power of affirmations. So please take your time to work through this step and do your journaling around your affirmations. Another quick little tip that sometimes people will use is have the affirmation that they're really working with as a photo of their on their screensaver of their phone. So every time they look at their phone, they see that affirmation. That can be a really nice way to include those affirmations into our daily life. Okay, so once you've got those affirmations chosen, it may, as I said, only be one, and just making sure that it's the frequency in which you're engaging with them that's really important. But the next step of this mindset module is around being your own cheerleader and how important it is to celebrate your developing a healthy relationship with money. So it's a hugely personal and emotional project, and self-appreciation and self-love plays such an important role. So this is a point really to make sure that you're considering how taking the time to regularly reflect on how your money mindset is changing and what an accomplishment that this has been. So if it's, you know, once a week perhaps that you set aside some money journaling time, as part of that journaling, please make sure that you're taking the time to reflect on the positives. You're considering what you have achieved, even the fact that you've become aware of the fact that you need to be aware is a huge accomplishment in itself. So cheer yourself on with passion. This is not arrogant. It is essential to living a life of gratitude and fulfillment. We need to recognize how incredibly strong we are, and how trusting ourselves to find solutions and to overcome money challenges is really important. So make sure that this is a section and a big part of developing your positive money mindset. So the last part of this module around money mindset is to utilize a free printable resource which I've got included in the course materials, which is called the 7 Steps to Money Wellness. And on this you'll find that there's 7 steps to creating money mindfulness and wellness. So they're really some really helpful reminders to how simple but sacred having a healthy relationship with money is. So please print this out and have it somewhere that you can often look at, and you may even want to include it in your money journal or keep it as a picture on your wall to remind you as you're working towards creating a healthier relationship to money. And it's really the foundations, the fundamentals to creating a healthy relationship with money, some of which we will now draw upon when we move into the second module around method, and we start getting into the numbers around the money flowing in and out of your life. So please print this out, and you'll see that understanding you know, what you owe and own is really important. So having that snapshot of being able to at any given point understand where you are and where the balance is. You know, do you owe more than you own? And this is, you know, really, really important to you taking control and feeling in control of your financial life. The second step is to be debt-free. So obviously, you know, the ideal world is also having a home that you own outright. But if you do have a home loan, obviously it's working firstly on making sure that you have all of your other debts worked out. So all of your high interest debts, those that have interest rates of, you know, greater than 5%, working through to eliminating those will have a significant effect on your financial well-being. Being aware of what you spend and save and balancing that spending and saving is really important, and soulfully and sustainably spending things on, you know, what uplifts you and doesn't weigh you down. You know, not just buying what, you know, your friends or your sister or your family purchase and you think, oh, they bought that, well, I'll need it too. Being much more conscious and mindful about our expenses, and even the way we earn money will have an incredible effect on our financial well-being. So being mindful about, you know, how we earn, spend, save, share and invest our money. And then the sixth step is about working as a team. So sharing your money dreams and fears with your partner is an incredible way to deepen your loving relationship with your partner. You know, being honest about your vulnerabilities and your concerns, but also about the strengths and things that you think that you do well. If you can share those together, that will allow you to become such a strong team to be able to work honestly and humbly together, and stop money from being the source of anxiety and stress that seems to tear relationships apart, but use it to actually build strength and connection within that loving relationship that you have. And the seventh step is to make sure that you're again reflecting and coming back to what is the underlying belief that I have around money. And my suggestion is that money is possibility. You know, it allows you to think of options. It allows you to consider ways in which money can be utilized to bring about more passion, allow you to pursue the things that you love, and to create space for you to not be stressed and overwhelmed. So this brings us to the end of this first module, which is all around money mindset. And as I said, so these are the points that we've just gone through in this video. So we've looked at how we can bring life to our chosen money beliefs, how you can become your own cheerleader, and also some 7 really important steps for maintaining a healthy money mindset. And as I said at the beginning of this course, it won't be that you tick these things off once and, sort of a set and forget scenario. Creating, a sense of adventure and curiosity around your mindset, your money mindset, is really a lifelong endeavor. So please cultivate that excitement, adventure towards it. So thank you for engaging with this and learning about money mindset in this first module. As you continue to work through the workbook, we'll move into the second module, which is now looking at your money method. Hi and welcome to Module 2 within the Mindful Money Foundations course. In this module we're looking at the second element of the financial well-being triangle, which is around method. So creating systems and strategies that help us to have a more empowered approach to managing the flow of money within our lives. So in this video I'm just going to give you an overview of what we're going to cover within the method step within this course. So what I like to do is to keep going over what the aim and the affirmation is for each of the modules as we go through. So for this second module around method, the key aim and affirmation is, which I'd like you to repeat or to write down within your journal, is I have a system to manage the flow of money in my life with meaning and joy. So this is really important because what we're going to do is to start to take control of the flow of money within our life, which is often the greatest concern and challenge is feeling overwhelmed with money, that they've got nothing to show for what they earn, or perhaps that they are just drowning in debt. So what this foundational course is allowing you to do is to start to understand what the flow of money is and what you're going to expect it to be within the next 12 months. And that's what we're going to learn within this second module. So we're going to identify how you expect money to flow in and out of your life over the next 12 months. We're going to learn a simple way to stick to your discretionary spending and to never overspend within those limits that you create for yourself, and to create a foundation for paying off debt, building up an emergency fund, or saving for a holiday or a home. So it's creating a foundation to do those things, and within the advanced course I will take you through ways in which you can actually do that and how you can start monitoring and some other management tools, personal financial management tools that can help you to do that. So this is what we're going to do within this first module. So let's get ready, let's work together and get this money method set up. So in this video we're going to work through the first 1 to 6 steps, which you'll see within your workbook for this course materials, which will help us to set up our mindful money method. So again, I want to affirm that in this section of the course, where the aim and the affirmation I would like you to be aware of is that I have a system to manage the flow of money in my life with meaning and joy. And now to do that, what we're going to do is look at how we can identify how we're going to expect money to flow in and out of our life over the next 12 months. So that's what we're going to learn within this video, and I'm going to take you through a screenshot video of working out how you can actually set up that Excel spreadsheet that you're going to use. So that will be included within the resources within this part of the course. So please open up your Excel spreadsheet once you finish this video, and then I will, once you go into the screenshot video section, we will work through how you can actually set it up.
So here we are in the Mindful Money spreadsheet, which you can access and download for yourself within the course materials. Now, what I would suggest is watching this part of the course materials video. I will talk you through how to set up your own Mindful Money plan, and then you can use the spreadsheet to set your own up. You'll also find in the course materials that there is a step-by-step guide with screenshots to help you to set up your Mindful Money plan. So what we've got in this first tab is just the cover, and you'll see that there's 3 tabs down the bottom where my arrow is now: the cover, setup, and method. So we're going to go into the setup tab now, and this is where we're going to actually set up and look at how money is going to flow in and out of your life over the next 12 months. So what you've got, I'm really big on affirmations, as we've learnt in the mindset module, which we've just completed, how important it is to use those affirmations to create what you want to feel within how you're going to relate to your money. So mine, what I've chosen here is I choose to manage my money with a sense of adventure and joy. So obviously you can modify this template however you feel appropriate, but I hope you enjoy the way that it's been set up. So what you'll see already for this new year of 2020, we've got January all the way through to December. And in the first section, we've got our income. So this is what we're going to look at first, is how we're expecting money to flow into our life over the next 12 months. So it may be that you have a salary and you know how much you receive on what basis. So you would include that. So you might want to give that a title depending on what your job is, or perhaps your employer. So you could put your employer name there and the frequency of which you get paid. So if you get paid weekly or fortnightly, most people get paid fortnightly within Australia. The value of that pay, you can look up your internet banking to find out what that is. And so the more accurate is, the more accurate your plan will be. So to input the value there, and then it will automatically calculate what your total value is here. It's important to remember that the money that you're putting in, these are your inflows. So when it's your salary, it's excluding tax. So you would have been taxed already. But if you have, say, business income that's coming in, you might have a side hustle on the side, a passion project that's got income coming in, but remember that you're going to be taxed on that money as well. So either exclude the tax here, or make sure when you're looking at your expenses that you include the taxes as well, so you're not missing out on that money outflow that will be occurring around July. So what you can do, and you don't need to actually input any of the values within these months. This was designed so you could print it off. So once you've created this whole sheet and you can see the money that you're expecting to come in and out, you can then actually check it off throughout the year and check if any of these amounts have been different, and it helps you to keep an eye on it. So include all of the income sources that you are aware of, and what accounts, perhaps if you've got an auto, so if you know that that goes into your transaction account, whatever the bank is, so you can keep track of where the money is actually coming into. You can, where appropriate, if you want to, you can change the fonts, obviously, as you would normally within any other Word product. If you need to include a new row, you can do so by inserting just like that. And then you can also delete a row if you don't need it as well. So that's your income section there. And you'll notice that every one that you add in will also be added up. So you don't need to modify these total columns. They're already automatically included with formulas already for you. So it should be pretty simple, adding in the income that you're expecting to flow in this year. Then we're going to move into your expenses. So I've set them up so you've got some fixed, so some non-negotiable expenses, and then some that are flexible and more discretionary expenses. So we work on the fixed non-negotiables first. So obviously, again, you modify this to reflect your own lifestyle and what's going on. But you'll have a look to see, you'll obviously have some rent or a mortgage payment. Again, the frequency, select what it is and insert the amounts here. So you might have your health insurance as well, depending on how often we actually pay for ours annually. I don't know how much it is, I'm just estimating. So you go down and you update all of these. So go into your internet banking and have a look at all the expenses that you have paid perhaps over the last 12 months and see if any of those are likely to go up. So I know in Australia, April is when a lot of the insurances go up, and it's worth then including an increase in the cost of those. So what you're trying to do here, the aim is looking at what am I going to be paying out over the next 12 months? What is the cost of those going to be? And it's easier if you're, for example, for petrol, you can look back at the last year and say, well, how much did I spend on petrol? You can use a credit card statement or a debit card statement to work that out. And then consider, is there going to be any changes to the way I'm using my car? Do I need to increase or decrease that amount? Or am I going to choose to increase or decrease it? Is there perhaps maybe once a week, instead of driving my kids to school, we could all ride our bikes and ride back again if that's possible. May not be. Or you might choose to, on the weekends, only use your bike. Again, this is where you're starting to get to choose how you're going to spend your money more consciously in alignment with what you value. And also some of it comes down to the finances as well. So once you've inputted all of your expenses, you'll see what you've got left over. And you may want to adjust that to increase it or decrease it depending on what these are. So work through what all your fixed expenses are. Obviously updating, as I said, to reflect your expenses of your lifestyle. Your flexible things. So obviously groceries are flexible. You need to eat, but they're flexible. You could, depending on a scenario, you may not need to eat the best cuts of meat and organic vegetables. If you are really tight financially one month or one period, you could change and modify and be flexible about what you ate in order to reflect that change that was happening for you. And not because out of a scarcity mindset, but out of being a really responsible custodian of your finances. So here you can insert more categories or delete as you feel appropriate, adjust the frequency of your expenses, and then input them here in the F column. And then you'll see it all calculating, and what it will do, the end here is the pay or reward yourself, is taking what is the total inflow, take away the total outflow, and then that's what you'll have left over. So play around with that. It's a really nice, simple spreadsheet to utilize to understand how that money is going to flow in and out of your life. Now the method is talking through how all of that then translates to a bit of a regular routine and system. So the steps are first is that you pay yourself first. So out of each pay, you might be wanting, and this amount that we've calculated down the bottom as being for yourself could be going towards paying off debt. It could be going towards creating a savings or a just-in-case fund. It could be to build up a fund for a holiday or a house. So that paying yourself is really important. And then what you're going to do is use cash to keep staying in control of your spending. So those discretionary amounts that you chose and decided within your setup section have just been linked here, and you'll know that you can take those out in cash, which will help you to stick to your spending limits. And then each week or month you can review any leftovers of cash that you have, and then you can choose how you'd like to spend it. Share it, save it, invest it, whatever you would like. So that's a really, really important way to keep to those spending limits. And now it's also important to review your fixed and flexible costs at least once a year to make sure, so what this does, it allows you to make sure you're getting the best deal, that you're consuming consciously, and that what you're spending your money on is aligned to what brings you joy and value to you and your family. So once you've downloaded this spreadsheet and you've got the materials next to the course materials, you can work through setting up your own, play around with this spreadsheet, and enjoy looking at how you can change the flow of money within your life. You can look at different ways to increase your income and look at ways to adjust your expenses.
From this video, you've learned how to identify how you expect money to flow in and out of your life over the next 12 months. And this has really been embedded by using the Excel spreadsheet, My Money Mindful Flow. And by utilizing this spreadsheet, you can continue to, throughout your life, manage that flow of money. You can look at how money's flowing in through your income and flowing out through the expenses that you have chosen. And I hope that this has created a sense of, taking back control and has been an enjoyable experience for you. So now we're going to look at steps 7 to 11 and work through these as you can follow along using your workbook as well for the course materials as we continue to finish setting up the method part of this Money Mindfulness Foundations course. So again, I'm going to affirm that I have a system to manage the flow of money in my life with meaning and joy. And this is why we're doing what we're doing and setting this up. So we're going to learn a simple way to stick to our discretionary spending and to create a foundation for paying off debt, building up an emergency fund, or saving for a holiday or home. And as I mentioned earlier, this is really the foundation basics course just for making sure that you can now become aware of how money is going to flow in and out of your life. And from this point of awareness, you can then start to make decisions about how you're going to use the financial resources which you have within your control. So you can start to choose to spend them or maybe adjust the way that you're spending them. You may want to start using those resources to eliminate financial stress by paying off debt, and then building up an emergency fund so then you don't respond in such a stressful manner when life takes its twists and turns. And then you may want to then save for a holiday or a home. So some of these bigger financial aspirationals I will have more detail on in the advanced Mindful Money course, which I will be creating shortly. So in these steps, the first one, step number 7, now having put together your money mindful method and understanding how the money is flowing in and out of your life, so what you're expecting to occur within the next 12 months, what I'm going to share with you here is how you can actually stick to those spending goals. So once you've worked through that Excel spreadsheet and decided how you're going to spend your money in alignment with what you value, not what somebody else's values or what you want to spend to make sure that you're perceived as being successful to your neighbor or your family. This is about coming down and deciding what is it that I want to achieve within my life, what is it that I want to experience, and then this is then reflected within your financial resources and how you manage your money. So the simplest way to make sure that you stick to your discretionary spending goals is by using cash. And that's what you can see within this photo that I've included here. This was the first stages of me putting together my cash management system. So this is where I've used those Ziploc bags. And I don't get any kickbacks from Coles. I'm looking at this photograph now. Coles is a big supermarket chain in Australia, but they just happen to be the bags that I've used. I've actually since updated them to some that are biodegradable because you will find that you need to use them quite frequently. And for me, knowing that they could go back to the planet was really important. So I'm no longer using those ones. But the key piece of this step is to make sure that what you've decided to spend, on your groceries or your presents or eating out, those amounts, the best way to stick to them is to not manage them within a credit card, because you won't be able to keep up to date with how much you've spent. The easiest way is to take out the cash amount. If you're managing this, for me, it's on a fortnightly basis. So every fortnight I take out a set amount of cash and I know that's what I'm going to spend on eating out, groceries, etc. And once I've spent it, I've spent it, and I need to wait to the next fortnight then to take that money out. So you will find at first this may be for those who only use their cards, pay waves, etc. Using cash again may feel a little bit burdensome, but trust me, the incredible savings that you will make and the peace of mind that you have and gain in taking control of your finances will far outweigh that weight of that cash within your pocket. And of course, if you know that you're going out just to go and meet a friend or take your mum out for coffee, you don't need to take all of that cash with you. Just take what you need for that particular event, or if you're going down to the grocery shop, just take your groceries spending money. But cash is the most important and powerful way to stick to those spending goals. And step 8 is about, well, what happens when I've got money left over? So if it is in that fortnightly period that you take out, $200 for your groceries and you've got money left over, what do you do with it? My suggestion is that you actually keep it and you put it aside. You have like a master, which I've got here is a master file which has those same categories of spending labeled within it, and if I've got savings or leftovers from those categories, I put it into a master file. You can use this money then to perhaps purchase bigger items within those categories, or you might want to save it up for Christmas. So that's a really good way to make sure, or it's up to you. If you've got money left over, say within your eating out budget, maybe you do something special and have a nice meal out to enjoy that money that you've decided that is in alignment with your values and that you want to put away for that particular thing. Step 9 is making sure that you're reviewing and updating your expenses at least every 6 months. So once you've gone through that process of setting up your mindful money method and you've gone through your Excel spreadsheet and played around with the figures and identified how much you've got coming in, and then choosing what you want to spend that money on, to make sure that you update it every 6 months to ensure that it's aligned with your values and that you're continuing to be conscious about what you're consuming, and to challenge what you have in there, to think, do I really need this? What value is it bringing me? Could I do this in a smarter way? So that was step 9. Step 10 is again to bring our citrine crystal into the scenario, which we've been using throughout some of the journaling that we did through the mindset module. But again, to have that crystal with you and add it to your purse and infuse it with the energy of attracting abundance. And it also acts as a trigger, which is being supported heavily in psychological research. It acts as a trigger to remind you to be more mindful, conscious, and joyful about your money decisions. So having it there within your purse, if you're stuck trying to make a financial decision, hold on to that crystal, take a moment to pause, peaceful pause, and consider what is the most appropriate right action for you right now. Then the final step is really important. It's about enjoying and celebrating, about being the master that you are of managing your money. You're not the servant. Celebrate that role that you have decided and chosen to take in how you relate to your money. You're the master. You're the one who's deciding how those financial resources that you have within your control, how you're going to be the best custodian of them. How are you going to choose to continue to earn your money and have that flow of money come into your life? How are you going to choose to decide to have that money flow out of your life? What are you going to spend it on? How are you going to share it? How are you going to allow it to uplift you? So this is a really, really important step. At this point in the course, it's also really important to be proud of yourself. Please take stock and stop and consider the achievements that you have already gained in working through and progressing through this course, in being able to understand and examine your mindset, and now having put together a Excel spreadsheet and a system that allows you to understand how money's flowing in and out of your life, And through that process, you've started to consider, what is it that I value? What is it that brings meaning to my life? And this is now what you have achieved. And this is a significant accomplishment. So what you've learned in this section of the course is a simple way to stick to your discretionary spending using that cash envelope system, using cash to stick to your spending goals. And through this whole money mindfulness method, you've now created a really good solid foundation for being able to then choose how you're going to utilize the money that you've got. Are you going to use it to pay off debt, build up an emergency fund, or save for a holiday or a home? So this is kind of the extension now, which we will go through in the more advanced mindful moneyness course. Is now that you have this foundation, you can start to consider what are some of your options around how you can utilize the financial resources that you have. But please celebrate and be proud of the accomplishments and progress that you've made already in getting to this part of the course, and having that understanding of how money is flowing in and out of your life, and how you can now begin to choose how you're going to utilize those resources to be best aligned to your values and what it is that brings excitement and high vibes into your life. So thank you for coming through this second part of the module. Now we're going to move into the third part of the course, which is looking at mindfulness. Welcome to the third module within the Mindful Money Foundations course. We're going to have a bit of an overview of what this module is going to look at, and then we'll dive into it and have a look at some of the practical exercises in which we can implement some mindfulness tools into our relationship with money. So in this third module, we've got an aim and an affirmation, which I'd like to share with you. Please feel free to note this down within your money journal, and you'll note it as we go along and work through the workbook. So I am compassionately self-aware of how I earn, spend, save, share, and invest my money. So this is the aim of this third module. What you're going to learn is what the value of cultivating a compassionate self-awareness is. So what is the value of being mindful towards our money, and how mindfulness can have a significant positive impact on our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And after this section of this third module, we're then going to look at some practical ways to incorporate money mindfulness into your daily life. So firstly, the value of cultivating money mindfulness. It really comes down to two key things. So the first is that you are going to be more in control of your spending as you cultivate more money mindfulness, and you're more aware of how you're relating to money, the actions that you're taking, the decisions that you're making, and you'll be much more likely to save. So those are two really important and powerfully positive impacts and changes that can occur within your relationship to money. So it's a really good reason why we want to look and include mindfulness within this whole course. So although money mindfulness doesn't mean that you have to change your spending habits, understanding how and why you spend might result in a change in how you might think about money, and then could result in greater savings. So although it seems incredibly simple, it's actually the awareness of how we're thinking and feeling about money, and then the actions that we're taking can bring about the greatest change in our financial well-being. So there are many positive impacts of money mindfulness, so bringing our mindfulness practices to our financial lives. So what you'll find as mindfulness has become a bit of a buzzword, and really an area that has been heavily researched recently, that the findings within the mindfulness body of research can then also be translated into utilizing it within our financial lives. So here is some of the research and findings which you'll see from the Wisconsin University. Some of these benefits and positive impacts we will experience in our mind, body, and spirit if we start to bring mindfulness to our financial lives. So obviously, it will help us to bring a greater depth of self-knowledge, which we've already started to experience through our greater awareness of our mindset around money, and then also around the methods, around the systems and strategies that we've been using around how we've been making decisions about our money. So bringing mindful awareness, so being more aware of our mindset and more aware of how we're taking action with our money, helps us to understand ourselves better, and then allows us to make decisions and choices about what we might like to change. It also allows us to increase our self-compassion, so we can be more kind to ourselves about the decisions that we're making. It allows us to create more satisfying relationship with money, but then also the people within our lives. So if we're more aware of our beliefs and feelings around money and how we're taking action, even awareness of those that we may not be particularly proud of or happy about, those can allow us to create a greater connection with the people around us, but also with ourselves and our own relationship with money. So the positive impacts of being mindful around our money are experienced in our mind, our body, and our spirit, because of course these emotions that we're having, and even bringing awareness to the negative emotions we're having about money, maybe the fear, we can be aware of the impact of that on our bodies, and in being aware of it we can then start to begin to heal it. So this is really reminding us that being mindful is really, really important. So it can help us to improve our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And what I'm going to then do in this next section of this module is talk about, well, how do we incorporate money mindfulness into our daily life? So in this section, we've seen, okay, it is really important. The value of cultivating compassionate self-awareness, particularly around money, is really important for our mind, body, and spirit. So how do we do it? And I'm going to share that with you in the next video. Now, as we've just gone through the beginning of Module 3 and looked at the significance of mindfulness and the way it is necessary to incorporate into our financial lives to bring about greater well-being emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So we've looked at why mindfulness is really important and how it can positively impact all of those elements of ourselves. But in this section of the course, I want to look at also what are some of the practical ways that we can incorporate mindfulness into our financial lives and our everyday life. So again, this affirmation, which I really like to make sure that we're all repeating, I'm compassionately self-aware of how I earn, spend, save, share, and invest my money. So in this section of the course, you're going to learn some practical ways to incorporate money mindfulness into your daily life. And I've got really 3 mindfulness exercises that I'd like to share with you. The first is, and most of them are around our spending decisions, which is commonly the greatest, I guess, arena within our money decisions that we can make the most significant impact, and we'll see the most positive impact of incorporating mindfulness. So this first one is around conscious mindful spending exercise. So often when we think of mindfulness, we think of meditation and yoga, but we don't think about the way that we spend our money. Now, a Zen teacher, Dr. Bays, which some research that I have found believes that practicing mindfulness gives important insights into our relationship with money and why we spend it. So Bays offers us some suggestions about how we can sort of understand our mindful spending, and creating more conscious consumer choices. So the first is to surf the urge. So when we get the impulse to buy something, and when this feeling arises within us, it's really important that we can start to ask ourselves, do I really need this? Do I need it now? And what are some of the alternatives to buying it? And what if I just saved the money? The second is to question the desire. So we have a notion that our desires need to be filled and satisfied straight away. But what is the need that we're trying to fulfill? You know, are we hungry? Do we just need to be distracted? So it's really important to question and think about the desire that we have. And to try and avoid habitual momentum. So often this type of momentum comes from habit and impulse and not from being present. So we need to resist the momentum and try to become more conscious about our spending habits. So if we're in the habit of always buying, you know, a croissant and a coffee every time we go out on a Saturday morning to buy our groceries, this may be, and it may well be that you continue to make that choice, but being conscious about it and making sure that it is in alignment with all of your values, you know, financially, in a health and well-being sense, even in, you know, if it brings you a great amount of joy and you really enjoy it, well, of course, it's okay in balance. But it's just being conscious about that and not falling into habits that maybe not serving us. The fourth is to stay with the discomfort. So we will discover and encounter suffering with our life, and this is not a depressing, you know, sad state, but it's just to acknowledge that we do encounter discomfort within our life, and often in modern society we try to buy our way out of that, but it's just to be aware that you can't. So mindfulness teaches us that there's no place to go but the present. So even if the present is a state of discomfort, to just sit with that discomfort and try, and it may not be every time, of course, but if there's moments where you can remind yourself to sit with that discomfort and not be too, you know, trying to change it or judging it, to just sit and observe it, you'll find that that discomfort changes. And this can be a huge source of relief and power for people. And the fifth is to value your life's energy. So to remember that money is a symbol of energy. It's a way that we exchange energy. So before you make a purchase, ask yourself, is it worth your effort? You may decide to buy the shoes, and that's fine, but just be sure that you're making your decision consciously. So there's some really great 5 kind of quick suggestions for considering whether you're making really mindful money decisions. The next exercise is again around some soulful spending strategies. These are some practical questions to again ask yourself when you're about to make a purchasing decision. It may be when you're online and you might be out shopping, and it's even worth including these in your money journal and reflecting upon post spending as well, to kind of think about, well, is there a better way that I could have approached my decisions? So the first one, some of these are just really practical things. So one is am I nourished? You know, you're not going to make a good decision if you're hungry or thirsty or tired. So to consider that. Am I calm? So am I in a state of calm, or am I angry because of something? Am I in control of these feelings? Considering what you value. So what do you really value? What is in alignment with what you really value is a really important question, and one that we've journaled and suggested in the journaling as well, around your beliefs in the mindset section. Do I have a plan? So having come through this course in module 2, the money method section, you will have a plan, and knowing that when you go shopping is a great source of peace, and being able to make decisions based on that plan is really helpful. So do you have a budget? How much money have you got to spend on these particular things? And do you have the money? So once you've got that plan and you start to think, well, what am I going to use my financial resources for? Is it that I'm in a period of paying off debt and I'm choosing to reduce my stress around that debt instead of purchasing, you know, a shirt or handbag I'm choosing at this moment to value eliminating that debt over acquiring new things. So it's really important, and that's what having that plan really gives you. And am I balanced? Am I in a position where I can make decisions for the short and the long term, and balancing those well? So these are some really just great mindful exercises that you can work through within your own time. And obviously these are listed out within the workbook that goes along the course, but please print out this downloadable and you know, keep it within your money journal and reflect upon it. The last exercise is some journaling prompts, and one of them is, what do I value? Just like we were talking about in those soulful spending strategies. It's a really big question, and you won't have one final answer to it. It will change and evolve as your life does, and that's what's so wonderful and exciting. What does being financially well mean to me? So what does that mean to you personally? And this is different for everybody. And again, all of these will evolve and change as you do. What are my money freakouts? So being aware of what does cause you stress and anxiety around money is so important to moving towards a healthier relationship with money. So noting what is the things that I'm worried about right now, and creating and scheduling time to attend to those. So not that they're going to continue to bombard you throughout the day, but acknowledge them and then create a time, schedule a time to attend to them each week. And it's important to have sort of monthly reflections as well. You can make this more frequent if you like, but to look back and to compare, make some wise, meaningful comparisons to the progress that you've made. So consider, you know, where you were 6 months ago, how your relationship with money has changed, what have been some of the positive choices that you've made, maybe some of the choices that you might change. So these journaling prompts and exercises are really practical ways to incorporate mindfulness into our life. So I hope that they've been really helpful, and obviously there are many more, and as I said, going on into the advanced course we will go into this material in much more detail, but this is really to get you started and aware of how important mindfulness is when considering your relationship with money. So at this point in the course, I really want to celebrate and share with you how thrilled I am that you've come through all of the different modules within this course, and now we're in a position to bring them all together. So what we've learned in this course is why mindful money is so important. We've seen that money is the cause of, and it's the greatest cause of, stress and anxiety in most women's lives, and that creating a more mindful approach to the relationship that we have with money is the easiest way to create more peace and harmony, a calmer and richer financial life. So we've seen that cultivating a mindset, an empowered mindset towards money, is crucial as that drives our behaviors. Having systems and strategies in place that allows us to take back control and be aware of how money is flowing in and out of our life, and aligning all of our money, the way that we earn, spend, save, share and invest, in a way that creates meaning for us. And having that mindfulness approach to our mindset and method, and continue to cultivate that within our life, is really incredibly life-changing. So what we've seen is, and we've worked through in this course, is mindset, method and mindfulness, and how they all work together in this lifelong endeavor for creating more peace and harmony to how we are managing our money, and recognizing that we are the beautiful custodians of these financial resources, which we can make an incredible difference by making really some great decisions about how we use that money. So Make Money Mindfulness, Mindful Money and what you've learned in this course an everyday part of your self-care routine to wellness. And I know and I recognize that this is making a change, but you've chosen to make that change, and you've chosen to make money a harmonious relationship, something that you can relate to in a positive and empowered way. It is about progress and not perfection. So as we're at this point of the course and we're bringing all of these elements together, it's really important to be aware that this is going to continue to progress and morph and change as you do and as life twists and turns, and that's what makes it a wonderful adventure. So being aware of these three crucial elements for financial well-being and how they impact each other is really important, and continuing to just work and evolve and bring greater self-discovery and understanding into each of those, and then you can see how you can grow as well. So knowing that your mindset impacts your perspective towards money, and this is really important. This is one of the big things that I'd like you to walk away with from this course, is knowing that what you're thinking about and feeling is really driving your actions and the decisions you're making with money. So if you can start by choosing those thoughts and not allowing them to be chosen for you, if you can then start to take back a little bit of that control, you'll be able to create incredible change within your relationship with money. We've also learned that being in control and choosing to align your values with your money decisions is incredibly powerful and easy, and it's actually a really sacred process. So even though we're using Excel and putting together that money flow through the Excel template that I've provided, we've been able to overcome that sense of fear and boredom to do with putting figures and numbers and all of those things together. We can actually see the power of having that plan and being in control of the flow of money within our lives. And we've also learnt that cultivating compassionate self-awareness to continue to refine and redefine your money mindset and method throughout your life's adventure, and how important just stopping, pausing, and having a peaceful moment to consider and experience the feeling, the thought, the action, whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, the decision that you're making right now with your money is so powerful. And remember, your relationship with money is deeply personal, and it's one that lasts a lifetime. So continue to let it blossom and blossom into the beautiful spirit and being that you are. Thank you again for being with me as I share this course with you. I would love to stay in touch, so please do not feel that you can contact me at any time.